And hello, everybody, and welcome to another night of Magical Journey podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Ian Cahoon, and tonight I want to start out the show, as always, by pointing you guys to my favorite company, Mystical Magical and Mystical Magical. Y'all, help me tonight. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Mystical Mountain Creations. Why am I so hard to remember names lately? I know I have Alzheimer's. I'm sure of it now. Jenny, you and I had a conversation today, so you already know where my head's at. I'm still trying to wrap my head around your situation and somebody else's. Before we get started tonight, and please help me remember my own podcast, guys, because I'll forget it too before it's over with. We struggle to, Pam, we do. Before I get too deep into it tonight, I do want to tell you guys to go over and check out my .com, magicaljourneypodcast.com, and you will find it getting updated with all the latest information. There's a blog post on there that will directly link you to the episodes that we have been doing lately. You can find links to the audio podcast, Magical Merch, which I just updated some new looks on there, and they're very exciting. So go check those out. There's a little retro feel to them. And I also want to let you guys know that in the process of doing all this, I also have started a Ko-fi, which is the link for that is over there. It is a great way to be able to support the effort of the show. Upcoming stuff, investigations that are coming on that you guys will be benefiting from the results of. I'll be taking you on a video, a virtual investigation with me at one point there coming up. So do check that out. Anyway, that's enough about me tonight. I want to give you guys an opportunity to meet a guy who has been one of my favorites online for a bit. And I find his show, his podcast to be not only informative, but incredibly entertaining. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Reverend Victor S. Johnson.
Greetings, travelers.
Greetings. You know, you're probably the first name I haven't messed up tonight.
People knock me for that pseudonym, and yet it works out well when it just rolls off the tongue like that. So I'm glad.
It literally does. So, Victor, tell us a little bit about yourself. You got some stuff coming up that you're going to be doing. Let's hear about those things.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be in your area, Daniel, as we kind of went over. I'll be at the Deep South Paracon in Ozark, Alabama. That's August 9th, the weekend of August 9th and 10th. I have a panel at 2 o'clock. I'll also be vending there. And I've got some great original stuff, by the way. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but the promoters, Stan and Teresa. Hey, Pam. Stan and Teresa Fikes have been very sweet to me. They did a check to make sure I wasn't selling stuff that, there it is, selling stuff that other vendors are going to sell. Also, I want to shout out Dr. Lee Brown, who will be there in attendance. She's been very sweet to me. Gwen Johns, and I want to shout out real quick Angie and Shane McLean, who kind of spiritually connected all of us together. So thanks, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you there if you can make it.
Definitely. There's so many different events going on this year. Wow. So, Victor, you have a a channel on YouTube, correct?
Last I checked.
And it is
Yes,
quite the channel. Tell us a little bit about, Destination Spooky and give us some idea of what we're gonna find when we go over there.
absolutely. So, I've been into the strange and curious since I was a small child. I was always a weird kid, still am, and I would kind of spend my nights. I like to tell this story, even though it points me as a loser in high school. But I would spend my Friday nights reading a particular book, the Haunted Places National Directory by Dennis William Hawke, a book I still have, one way or the other, and it has a detailed categorized list of everything that this author, Dennis William Hawke, has collected over the years and aggregated. So, by the way, Pam, don't forget Destination Spooky on YouTube. That was the one link I didn't send you all. I'm so bad at that. You can actually just, yeah, there it is. Thank you so much. I guess I can see the comments, but on when everybody was out, living and enjoying life in high school, I was at home on a Friday night reading that book and kind of corroborating it, as well as pointing to stuff on the internet when it was still in its infancy of popularity. This would have been the late 90s. And that passion and interest has never waned. So, with this book of itemized locations across
Mm.
the country, I decided after a big life change in 2021, we all had one at that point, but I decided, why don't I? And I started traveling. I have done a lot of traveling, both locally and across the country. And I got to get my passport updated soon, but I'm hoping to go international very soon. And I get to verify these legends. I think part of the beauty of the channel is that I don't sensationalize.
Mhm.
That's the humor and where that comes in that you love so much, Daniel. Like, I have to make it entertaining somehow. And I was a tour guide. I had some years as a stand-up comic prior to that. There's a surprising amount of overlap in that in those two industries, by the way. But I learned how to, talk to people and get them hooked and entertained without saying, "Hey, there's a ghost behind you. That'll be $10." So, I think that's what makes it's interesting because it's real in that way. I don't always get something. Sometimes it's a bust, and I still have to make the video worthwhile to watch. So, that in itself is a challenge, but a rewarding one.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, one of my favorite episodes, oddly enough, is a lot of people are gonna find this shocking in a way probably, um, was the episode where you went to Zach Bagans' museum. I was very impressed with your response to that, and it was very much different than what I was expecting. Because my first thoughts was that this has gotta be probably one of the hokiest places on earth, but you kinda changed my opinion of that.
I know people will hate me for doing that thing, but yeah, I do feel it's worth going to once. One of my rules, one of my core tenets is go there once. It's worth experiencing one time. And I've gone to some real clunkers, but I can say I went. If anyone ever brings it up, I've got that story. So, and they don't always make air. I've got a lot of B-roll that I can do nothing with, but that's okay.
Right, right. Yeah, one of the I noticed I have not watched it yet because I'm kind of holding off. You did an episode on the Devil's Chair, which is one of those places that I don't know. I'm kind of still on the fence about myself. I think it's personally, I feel like it's a lot of local lore and granny's tales kind of mixed together. So I'm kind of waiting to see what you have to say about it uh, till after this interview. Uh, but that's one of the ones that I kind of put off to the side for right now about. But tell us about some of the places that you've been to that you were pleasantly surprised about.
The Wayside Inn in Virginia, that I want to say Sutton, but again, the towns start to merge. It's sort of close to Harper's Ferry,
Mhm.
kind of a big Civil War town. There's actually a plaque right outside where it talks about Stonewall Jackson kind of leading a raid on the town and the town just kind of going with it. But I got a lot of stuff there that I kind of went in blind on, and they had very good chicken wings. It's We'll get to the whole mix of everything there. Um, I would also say the Queen Mary out in Long Beach. We
Mm.
all hear about how haunted it is, and it still manages to surprise me. That's actually the video where there's disembodied footsteps, and I caught it by pure accident on camera because 'cause I'm filming B-roll down in the lower decks, and someone runs behind me, and I turn and look, there's no one. It doesn't register in my brain, and you could see that. I'm still doing the B-roll, I'm like, "Wait a minute," and I run upstairs to try and see if anyone could have thrown their footsteps or whatever. There's no one around, and I get so in a zone, and I've done this. Thank you, fam. I've done this so much that, like, I just wasn't ready to go. I wasn't firing, and I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute," and just I love that one. That was a pleasant surprise.
Wow, yeah. Those moments when you get things on video that just kind of come out left field, that's to me what makes all of this worth it.
Absolutely.
I just got a message from somebody a little bit ago that's sent me something that it was like, "What is this?" And I'm like, no, I have no idea. We'll work on it." So it's exciting to see. I get more joy out of seeing other people's materials sometimes than seeing my own because having confirmation from other people that they're having these experiences as it just come out left field, to me is like, "Oh, good, I'm not the crazy one here. Other people are having this too." Because when these things happen, the footsteps running, that has happened spontaneously to a few people, and they've caught it on tape that I thought was very interesting. What's your take on that?
To me, I think it's kind of, we had a theory, a few tour guides and I, about how it pertains to sort of Einstein's theory of relativity. And by the way, thank you for the disclaimer at the beginning. I am not a scientist, folks. I know nothing. None of us do. It's just me talking off the cuff. But the idea that we're in the third dimension now and that the fourth dimension is space and time itself. And I think that sometimes we get some crossover depending on how much energy is sort of concentrated in an area.
Yeah.
And I think, believe it or not, I think skepticism can help in that, general skepticism. One knock on the Queen Mary, for example, a ship that claims to have, and I saw this on an advertisement, so it could have been trumping it up, but 57 ghosts aboard it. Skeptics will point to there's no record of any deaths on board that they could find. That's what I believe I saw, and I think that's in my video or in my article about it. Another one I didn't give you was my Medium page, and sorry, Pam, you don't have to promote that. But while I was on the road during my travels, I kind of discovered something, at least to me. I can't confirm or deny this. I can't confirm or deny anything. But while I was in the Queen Mary, and this stuff is happening, I thought back to a hotel I went to in Birmingham, Alabama. The
Mhm,
uh the 5 Points. Well, 5 Points is the town. It's
mhm,
the Birmingham something 5 Points. It's not on my
mhm.
I don't often cite that video because it's bad technically. I edited it poorly and I need to fix it. But it's a beautiful hotel. I love the Birmingham Five Points area.
Mhm.
But if dowsing rods are to be believed, and again, I can't confirm or deny any of this non-falsifiable principle, but dowsing rods is my thing. I had a conversation with someone in my room, and the person did not die in the hotel. But
Mhm.
in the 1920s or 30s, the hotel had been like kind of a juke joint. It was a really happening place. So when this person died, and according to them, they died young of disease, they decided to put their energy back where they had the most fun, even though the place has changed. If this is to be believed, maybe that's a thing. Maybe because the Queen Mary didn't exactly sink almost in 2022, but that was when it was parked at the dock. But a lot of people had a lot of fun on that ship. Maybe that's where they chose to go back to.
Right. And just to give you guys a little bit of a background on Birmingham, Alabama. Now, during that time period, like 20s, 30s, 40s in that area, maybe a little later on even. That was actually a town where people from like Tallulah Bankhead and some of the greats of that time period in the film industry would all go to Birmingham. That was the party spot for a lot of those guys back then. So you had a lot of places there that were very active. Like this was where the glitz and glamour crew hung out at, was in Birmingham. And I know now people look at it and they're like, "What's in Birmingham?" But at one time, it was definitely the party capital for a lot of people. So yeah, that lines up with a lot with the history of that area. Uh, when you, I want to back up for a second because I want to talk. I gotta know, where did you come up with your sidekick for the show?
You mean Dudley?
Dudley, yes.
Um, Dudley's right here. Fun story. I used to work for a tour company. I
Mhm.
won't mention them, but they gave out ghost plushies. They didn't give them out. They charge a lot of money for ghost plushies. Now, the ghost plushies they sell as an add-on with the tour have their branding on them, but the first batch actually came from a company out in Nebraska, and I just simply asked, "Can I have one of these?" Because I thought it'd be fun, and I remember reading a review about these when I was still with them, and someone gave a negative review, and they were like, "Sure, it's cute, but what does it do?" Now, price point aside, because I'm not a fan of gouging, what doesn't this do? Like, it's what you want it to be, and the thing about Dudley is I like to do everything myself. I like to write, I like to edit, I do the recordings, I record my own video, I take my own photos, which can get boring. Um, wow, you found it, Pam, thank you. You really are an ace. Yeah, everybody go to that. That's actually kinda taken off, but, with Dudley, like, I kind of felt I needed a foil from time to time. Otherwise, it's just me talking all the time, and I don't like hearing my own voice that much. So it's kind of fun to play off of Dudley. I have a friend who sort of animated the little ghost, and now there's a couple of reactions I can put on screen. But it makes it more interesting. It makes it a lot more fun, and it's worth way more to me than like $7 we used to charge. The reason for Dudley's name is it's an homage to Dudleytown in Dudleytown, Connecticut, which is not only a place I wanted to go since I was a kid from that same book, but I actually got there or almost got there, depending on who you ask, and recorded video about it. It's dark entry woods, very, very spiritual to me. As a matter of fact, Ed Warren claimed there was a demon in the woods. For take that for what you will, folks. But Dan Aykroyd, the actor and the spiritual enthusiast, said it was the scariest place on earth. Now, you cannot go into Dudleytown. It's a long-standing, centuries-old, abandoned sort of farm complex. There was a lot of misfortune, a bit of death and weird death, like people losing their mind, going off into the woods, people getting struck by lightning. A lot of stuff happened there. That being said, it was closed off since the early 20th century, early to mid, and it's kind of had a big resurgence. Like all these channels are doing content on it, and I thought I've actually been there. And blissfully, I got my video out as a love letter to the town before all the content came out. Mr. Ballin did it. Um, I think Tape Library did it, but Mystery Archives, shout out to you, Cody. He did a video on it, but again, my video, I'm there, or at least I'm very close to there.
Mm.
Whereas the main entry point is severely no trespassing. You're arrested on site if they find you. I tried to climb Dudleytown Hill from the back. I made it about halfway up, and it felt like my brain was shutting down. So I turned around.
Mm.
Now, some people have said that's not Dudleytown. Very fair. Maybe I didn't make it. Maybe I go back to the Wolf Trail someday. Maybe I step foot.
Wow.
Anyway, that's what I named the ghost plushie after.
That is really cool. That's how he got his name. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that town because there's several places like that, and it's just really kind of overwhelming in a way. Um, when when you decided to pick a destination to go to, where I mean, obviously, parts of it is still, stems from your childhood with the book. But where do some of the inspirations come from for you, in modern time in your adult world?
Well, first things first, it depends on whatever deal email that Spirit Airlines sends to me and how much money I have on the credit card and how long I have to book. And I'll kind of piece everything together. I haven't been here yet. This is cheapest to fly to. I do have a Mount Rushmore of haunted places I want to get to, and I've gotten to most of them, not all of them. The Bell Witch Cave was one, and I got really lucky. As you know, if it rains too hard, and as you also know, Tennessee's been experiencing some wacky weather the past 2 years. If it
Yes.
rains too hard, you can't go into the cave.
Mhm.
And when I got to the Bell Witch Cave, like it was raining really hard in sporadic bursts. Hey, Kristen. Sporadic bursts every 10 to 15 minutes, but luckily the cave didn't flood, so I got to see it. And I had driven 3 hours from Birmingham, Alabama, as a matter of fact, the same trip, and the tour was like they all leave at the top of the hour. I got there at, like, 12:59, and I ran across the field to John Bell's farmhouse. I'm like, "Don't start, please. I'm so sorry." Like, I'm trying to, be humble, but at the same time, I had to do this, and I had to do it then. I try to leave myself enough time, but I have to work. I,
Mhm.
I have a job. Many of us do, and that's how I fund the vacations. So, as I like to call them, but really, it's a perfect combination of how much money have I spent. What am I passionate about this month? I have the ADHD, as many of us do, and sometimes I'll think about this, I'll think about that. For example, I was working on an Edgar Allan Poe book, which I really want to start, but I'm kind of following in the footsteps of places Edgar Allan Poe lived
Mm.
across the US due to a curse placed on my old hometown. All of that is like the lore that is true as
Mhm.
lore can be true, I guess. I can't verify there's really a curse, but he did say he cursed the town. So I got to thinking about how Edgar Allan Poe, even though he died in the mid 19th century, affects us to this day.
Wow. Yeah, because the area that you live in is a very it's very interesting. The area, that whole like, what am I talking about? Like, all of that yeah, geography, um, through there is very interesting. You, and it's very beautiful too. That's one of the things I definitely, without a doubt, I believe most of us can agree on is that, um, all of the area through from Virginia on, uh, north is just absolutely is I mean, South is beautiful too, but I'm partial to that, so I'm not gonna talk about it because I can talk about how beautiful the South is all day. But those areas through there are some of the most beautiful in the world, I think. You've got things here that you just would not see anyplace else. Um, when you when you first started the channel out, did you have any real like had you built up a collection of stuff? Was this stuff that happened over time? Did you have material planned? What was did it just kind of like did you just say one day, screw it, I think I'm gonna do a channel? How did you go about doing this?
All of those things, funny enough. I recorded a lot. I would record my ghost hunts while I was traveling. I had built up a cache, and I had I was thinking about how I was going to make a YouTube channel. And by the way, thank you, Pam. That's my buddy Sean's shop, Phantasmagoria Antiques. This is a little sticker from it, and oddities. Um, great great place to get like incredible photos. As hey, Sean, uh, that's him. Photos as well as antiques of the weird, and Sean does a lot of great actual history, and not like I'm more a lore guy. He is more gets to the seedy bottom of history, like the Crescent Hotel down in Arkansas.
Mm.
If you know anything about that, he loves that place. Got a lot of stuff from there. Check his website out. So with that out of the way, by the way, I'm not being paid for any of this. Uh, with that out of the way, um, let me go back to the. Oh yeah, I had all this material and I was trying to figure out a format on how to do it. I didn't exactly want to put my face in there on account of the fact that people don't always get to go here. You know, wherever I go, people sometimes can't get there. And I figured doing it in first person and kind of talking in their ear is like giving them a tour for free that they can't physically be there for. This is part of what started me in 2021. I was living in New Jersey at the time. And there's a town in New Jersey that's not really a town. It's called Ong's Hat. ONG apostrophe S hat,
Mm.
like hat. Unincorporated town. It may or may not even exist
Oh,
anymore. There is a town of Ong, and the hat is kind of sort of on top of it. But it was the site of a big hoax in the 90s and early 2000s. A guy made what's known as an alternate reality game where he would print out flyers and he would pin them around universities sort of in his area. It wasn't even in New Jersey. But the
mm.
idea was a group of rogue scientists had perfected interdimensional travel in a shed in Ong's Hat. So I go out to Ong's Hat knowing it's bunk, it's fake. But I'm like, I get to see Ong's Hat. You know, it's 20 minutes away. Let's do it. I drive out to Ong's Hat. I walk through the woods for a while. It's just woods. It's just the Pine Barrens. But I'm driving back. I'm getting pictures of the street signs to say I was there. You know who pulls up? There's one business there. It's a bar and restaurant, and I think it's mostly a bar. We call them package stores out here.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like a group of 20 or 30 somethings in a car. They're asking this woman with a waitress apron. Hey, where's that creepy abandoned shack in the middle of the woods where they do the time travel? They're literally like asking this like matter of factly. So I turn to him, and in my best Fred Gwynn voice, I say, "You won't find it there. I'll take you to it, but you won't find it there." And I hop in my car. They follow me. I take them to Ong's Hat, which is a walking trail. I'm like, well, here you go. There's no shack. It's a fake story. But that was fun to do. And I'm like, I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to move that to YouTube. I didn't know how to do it. I had been setting some stuff up and playing with some things without going live. And I decided to commit when I was on Facebook one day and a friend of mine
Mm.
posted an old legend from my area. That's currently on my channel. This would be Cult House Road. And I looked at it and it was 2023 and I said, people still think Cult House Road has a cult. And like that was when I laid out an actual haunted place. I was like, if you want to see a real haunted place, and I went through footage I had just captured in Seaford, Delaware at Maggie's Bridge, and I kind of figured out the format and tweaked it from there.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, because there's when I look at your some of the episodes and I look at the way that you've got it set up, it it has that kind of um, as I was saying backstage, it has that kind of feel of the Travel Channel meets the paranormal meets Victor S. Johnson all in one. It's a very unique feel, and it's one that, uh, like I said, is informative as well as entertaining, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate about what you do, because I mean, like you say very often, actually, that's kind of one of your taglines now, right? That you go places that others only read
Read
about.
about it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and I find that very interesting and very exciting, actually, because you know here I'm kind of like you. I just kind of like I have to work to afford to go to do the things that I do, and I'm just getting back into the realm of going places to do physical investigation again. So I'm kind of very localized right now, but there's so many places out there in this country to go to and to experience. We've talked about like places that were impressive to you. What was, and you don't have to really talk about this if you don't want to, but I'm kind of curious. Did you have a place that you were really excited about, and then you got there and you were like, "Oh,
Hmm. Well, not really. Like when I get there, like I've learned to temper my expectations. That's also another beauty of my channel, which I'll get to in a second. But the only one I've ever really been negatively affected by was Glastonbury, Vermont, and that's just because I can't get to it.
mm,
Kristen, who's in here now, will tell you like the first time I tried, it's a 12-mile hike through the Appalachian Trail over a mountain and wilderness just to see this town that's maybe a couple of foundations in a fire tower. And I keep trying to do it every year. I keep not making it. The first year, I nearly died. That's not hyperbole. Like I fell, I messed up my shin and my knee really badly, and I ran out of water and I was stranded up there. And I basically pulled my leg back down and was able to get down the mountain before dark. That was nuts. Last year I tried again, and by last year I mean June, and I didn't feel it. Something was wrong in my hip. Thank you, Pamela. Something was wrong in my hip, so I turned around early. I'm glad I did. It's like a 3-day hike, and I just have to prepare for it. That's the only
mm."
one, and I still want to do it. I'm just like that. It's never disappointing to me. There are places I know that are going to be bad that I go to anyway, like Helltown, Ohio, which is just a park. It always was. They didn't develop it. I go there anyway. It made me miserable, but I could say, "Hey, I went to Helltown. There's a Del Taco nearby. Great." I love Del Taco. I spent some time on the West Coast. But actually the other point of my channel, Daniel, and I'm glad you bring it up because you were talking about the Devil's Chair earlier.
Mhm.
Do you know what town the Devil's Chair is in?
I did know. It's been a while since I've even, like, read anything about it.
Okay, here's the point of my channel right now. Because the Devil's Chair, well, I do think there's a haunting there. It's mostly just like ghosts trying to rest that get upset that we keep leaving beer on the thing and whatnot, trying to see Satan. But it's in the town of Casadega, Florida, which is a spiritualist community and has been for some time. It takes
Uh,
inspiration from Lilydale, New York,
mm,
which is where the Fox sisters were from and all that. I believe they were from Lilydale, but Lilydale was founded as a spiritualist town. And it's a beautiful, gorgeous town. There's a lot of spirituality in it. There's places you can get your aura photographed. The visitor center is a big bookstore, and there's a well, not a horror museum, a paranormal museum right in the middle of town, C Green's Paranormal Museum, which I've written about. And it
mm,
actually takes you all the way through kind of different sections
mm,
of paranormal study. You find a lot of surprising stuff there. Like they've got stuff from like taps there. They've got a number of like rock formations weighing on the whole energy thing. Um, my buddy, my personal friend Matt Lake, one of his books was in there. It was actually H. Holmes's book. He wrote the foreword for it. He gives an H. Holmes tour up here by Philadelphia because Holmes died
oh, wow.
in Philadelphia. He was hanged. Sean actually knows that. This is
Mm,
where he was caught. But one of his books, like one of Holmes's books with Matt Lake's forward, yeah, that's right, is in the museum. And I sent it to Matt. I'm like, hey, you made it to Casadega, Florida, and it's beautiful. There's an Area 51 section. There's a cryptid section. You have all this. So if your 10 minutes at the Devil's Chair is uneventful, there's so much to do just half a mile down the street. That's the point of Destination Spooky. There's always something to do.
right, right. And you really, like, yeah, because we get some places, and there's a lot of places that people don't understand. Like, okay, here, people go to Gatlinburg all the time because it's part of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's all about nature and the bears and the bunnies and all that kind of stuff. What they don't know is that Gatlinburg has, after things quiet down around 8 o'clock at night, they offer ghost tours throughout the city. Um, they have, there's very, that whole area is very rich in lore, and uh, they have people that will go in to places like Cada's Cove at night after sundown, and we'll do paranormal investigation because you can still go to those places. Not advisable. Do not go alone because there is a lot of wildlife out there. But you can go to those places at night, and there have been people that go there to do paranormal investigation and so forth at some of those locations at the cove. So there's a lot of places throughout everywhere,
Oh yeah.
everywhere in this country that people don't understand beyond what most people go to see. There's that undercurrent of paranormal enthusiasm. Uh, there's sites to see and investigations to be had, sometimes in the middle of somebody's cornfield. I mean, it's like you just have to explore. And I think that's one of the things that you and your show, your podcast really does is kind of open people's minds to the possibility that there's more than just going to the top 5 big investigation places.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this, and by the way, before we get too much farther, I want you guys, if you've made it this far and you have a favorite podcast of the paranormal that you it may not be a really big one, it may not be one that fits the cookie cutter of all the other paranormal shows. Comment below and tell us what it is and why you like it. Um, when you Actually, I forgot what I was gonna ask you now. That happens occasionally. I swear I have retail brain these days. Retail brain really bad, because that's what I
Well,
do.
yeah. While we're thinking about it, by the way, the heat isn't good for our intelligence either right now. You could see me having a brain fart. It's been a nightmare of humidity. But
Oh my goodness, so much so.
just a shout out to The Eye of Jupiter,
Yes,
starring Tom Franklin, and Cadega's Codex of Curiosities, Rivos. Just wanted to get those in there.
100%. Actually, I was just, on Tom's show for the Forum of the Forbidden a little bit ago. Um, when you first start out in working with the paranormal and doing an investigation, I'm sure you started out with, like a lot of us, with questions, with ideas of what you wanted to do and what you wanted to discover along the way. First of all, let's talk about the your early understanding of the paranormal. What what was that like for you? What was Victor in his younger days? What was your view of the paranormal?
I always took a lore at face value. Like my interest in the paranormal starts before it was sort of mainstream television. As many of us do, we just may or may not talk about it. But Austin Lawrence and the Dead Chronicles, yes, please do watch the Dead Chronicles.
Yeah.
If there's a guy who focuses on the history, it's Austin Lawrence. Um, Rising quickly and deserves it and should go up even further. That being said, hold on, there's that humidity brain again.
Mhm.
There it goes. That being said, I kind of go with the old stories, not hey, here's what it the old lore wasn't. Oh, Tom's here. Tom, I shouted you out. You missed it. Um, but with the old lore, it was more like you were being told a story. Like for number 50 Berkeley Square, this person might have been chained there, and this person slept in the room with a pistol and shot at the wall and all that. That amazes me. Versus, someone going there and like nothing's happening, but they're trying to tell me something's happening.
Mhm.
So I am more of a lore guy and always will be. Um, that lore often does not come true. Not when I go there. It's not a science, like if we could repeat the conditions and get the same results every time, it would be a science, but most of the time nothing happens. But I've learned to value the lore regardless without sensationalizing it. And it's enough for me and the few experiences I'm grateful to have are enough for me. They're enough for my beliefs, they're enough for me to keep going and keep trying. Because one out of every 50 times, I'm going to get the footsteps behind me, or
Right.
I'm going to get that amazing EVP, and it'll be worth it, even if no one watches. So it kind of
Exactly.
is, it's about being grateful to me, to sum that up better.
It really is. It really can be. It's a lot of people. They'll go, "Wow, what's it like being a paranormal investigator? What's it like doing this? What's it like doing that?" And when you tell them about 90% of the time, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. They really don't know what you're talking about. They really don't get it because of what they see on television makes it all look very different. Um,
And I
then
prefer oh, thank you, Pam. I prefer novices. Again, that's the tour guide mind to me. These are people who are curious, have the money for it, and they want to know what to look for. But it is kind of our duty, I feel like, to tell them what they should be looking for. I've shown people ghost photos on tours, and they'll squint and they'll go, "What am I looking at here?" And in the meantime, I thought, "Hey, look at this! Look at this! I just proved the afterlife." And they're like, "What is this? What am I looking at?" And I'm like, and but moments like that make me realize, hey, if I have that picture, if I have something I can cite, like a blurb from a book,
mhm,
and that explains what's going on, we can get people's interest and passion back up without sensationalizing it, cheapening it, and worst of all, trying to empty their pockets. I really do feel that way.
right, exactly. I agree with you on that. I think you know, there's a lot of people out there that shy away from doing some things because they're like, "Oh my goodness, this is so expensive." It doesn't have to be. I mean, yeah, you go to some places, you're going to be spending a few bucks to be there. There's some of the bigger names, and they're worth it. Some of them can be worth it, but sometimes it's the smaller areas. Um, One of the things that you've talked about, and I really I want to kind of bring this to people's attention. The the area of the Bill Witch uh, site. Locally, we know that it's kind of up for debate whether the location of the Bell House it was on the exact location they say it is. The cave is definitely the cave, um, but the house itself, for those that are interested in the lore and so forth, versus the actual uh, story itself, um, you want to do your research on some of these, especially here in the South, because you'll find that the locals have a totally different story sometimes than what you're hearing, like the location of things. And there are still people around that can tell you, like, well, my granddad said that this happened right over here, and so forth. And I tend to want to believe the locals sometimes more than printed material on some things. Um,
That town is Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Gettysburg.
There's a term in the town of Gettysburg for a tour guide. It's a Gettysburg original. That's someone who was literally born in the town, and they are always thank you, Pamela. They are always hired preferentially over like anyone from outside of Gettysburg, which is a fine way to do it. And I know quite a few tour guides in Gettysburg, but yeah, Gettysburg original um, is a term there for a reason.
And I mean, let's face it, that is one of the places. Have you spent very much time there in Gettysburg?
Yeah, I did a few tours in Gettysburg
I
during my
thought
guide
so.
days.
I
Yeah.
thought I had heard you talk about Gettysburg quite a bit at one point. Um, One of the things when you're talking about a town like that, I mean, that literally is the backbone of the economy of that area. Revolves around Gettysburg itself, uh, the battleground. I mean, and that's what draws people there so much of the time. So when it comes to those kinds of places like that, integrity is a big deal, very big deal. So eh, early on, you 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 kind of kept actually the idea of lore being your interest throughout the years. What are some things that evolved in your thinking of the paranormal from early on to now?
Well, once the rituals would like fail, the old rituals I'd read about, do this and this will happen, and it never came true. I would get just enough to keep wanting to do it. And I taught myself that's actually why Destination Spooky exists. Because remember those kids from Ong's Hat? They go there, they don't see a time traveling shed, they leave disappointed.
Mhm.
Well, what else is there to do in Ong's Hat? I had been a tour guide. I didn't just give spooky tours. I used to give like Segway tours, which gave me PTSD. That's riding around a city on a Segway with a bunch of people who don't know how to ride one. And what a nightmare. But I got a lot out of that job too. I learned to appreciate things through that job, like street art, like murals, um, locations for other things, such as places where movies and television shows were shot, places where famous historical events happened. I taught myself to give myself tours through historical markers and things like that. And you can immerse yourself in a place with more than just spook lore. And as I would kind of shift into that, I always maintained doing a ghost hunt here and there, and then I would start to connect other dots. That's where I came up with that whole theory of if your energy is in a good place when you go, you can go wherever you want if you think about it. So that's sort of opening myself up to what we can prove or what does exist right in front of us allowed me to have a new appreciation for the stuff I have faith in.
Right, right. Now you've referenced Troy Taylor a few times too, correct?
Troy Taylor?
Yeah.
I don't recall, actually.
I know there was one recently that I was watching of yours that I'm pretty sure it was yours. Maybe it was another one. Are you familiar with Troy Taylor at all?
No, actually.
No? Oh, maybe it wasn't your
Yeah,
choice. I
doesn't
spent a
sound like
lot
me.
I watch a lot of videos throughout the week. Um, Troy Taylor, you would probably appreciate him. He he's stationed in Decatur, Illinois, and one of his things is he's always written several books, um, and he focuses on like places like Alton, Illinois, Decatur, Illinois, um, Chicago, of course, and so he has this whole series of haunted and city name books. Um, he's very much about talking about the history of these places because, as he says, and as he has his people say on the tours, is today's headlines is tomorrow's ghost stories. And that's one of the things about uh, that really got me interested in learning about the history of places was really studying some of Troy's work because honestly, when I first started out, I was all just about the paranormal part of it. Really didn't think a lot about the historical value of things. And oddly enough, the place that I was born and raised at was in Illinois, and I was born on the south side of town, actually, in a
Okay.
place called Chicago. So yeah, so there you had what is it, the Valentine's Day Massacre, a lot of places there that are paranormal hotspots. You would think, and let's bring it even closer. Anton LaVey was actually born in on Lakeshore Drive. area there in Chicago. So there's a lot of history there in the Chicago area, paranormal wise. Um, so I find it very interesting that you lean heavy on the lore side of things because one of the things, and when you live in the South, you know this a lot, and you learn this very quickly. Um, did anyone else hear a cat? Yeah, you hear one of my roommate's needy cats. I'll give her some attention here in a little bit when we're through. Um,
That was me, Pam, sorry. By the way, Tom, were you thinking of Connecticut, not Massachusetts? I saw his blurb on screen because he might have been talking about Dudleytown, ironically. Yeah, that one. It would be Connecticut, not Massachusetts. I've been to Massachusetts a lot, and I can't think of a town I can't go to in Massachusetts. Um, Fall River is kind of the cursed town towards Nantucket. That's where the Lizzie
Mhm.
Borden house is. That's where they had those satanic murders, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, there's never been anywhere I haven't been able to go in Massachusetts. But he might be talking about Dudleytown.
Now, have you have you explored any of the places in New York and those areas where the events that took place that started the Prince Philip War, uh, some of the massacres there? Have you explored any of those areas?
I haven't explored. I've probably driven through. Like I've been to a New York State is very big, and I've been to a lot of it. There's a lot of sacred ground and whatnot, and just places where weird things happen. But I haven't gone looking for that in particular yet. No.
It would be very interesting because I know the the um the site in particular of the massacre that really sparked the war itself, the Prince Philip War, which took place back in the 1600s. This was before the country was even a country.
Right.
Uh, it was a very violent attack that sparked this war, and I'm very curious to see if anybody has ever gone through and investigated that area to see if indeed there's any activity there. Um, I would love to go there. Oh, yeah, Tom remembers Dolly.
My favorite thing to do.
Okay, so let's talk for a minute about what your future goals are for that you care to share with us for the show and for places that you're going to be talking about coming up.
Well, I've got a backlog of stuff I have to do. I stayed at the Penny Farthing bed and breakfast in St. Augustine months ago. I have yet to put that out. I like to do these little blurb, but is it haunted ones where it's just like 8 minutes and I can just throw it up there to kind of keep. Yeah, I'm inside now, Tom. I'm sorry I did all those ones outside. Uh, I owe you one where I'm in my house. So I'll get on you with that. But I like to do the blurb ones just to keep myself going. But I'm also venturing out into other things. Like I did a video I'm really proud of called Road Trips to Elsewhere, and I want to keep working on those where I went to Crown City, Ohio, which is just like an open air sort of neighborhood. There's no fences. It's not like a trailer court. There's just like small little ranch houses that just sort of exist. And there's this big long story about a house that reappeared or that appeared out of nowhere, I should say. It just sort of blipped into existence, stayed there, and blipped out. Now I drive to Crown City. I had other stuff to do. I was in West Virginia as part of a West Virginia tour I did. And I go to Crown City. I do the little ghost hunt. A house does not appear. Spoilers. But I'm wondering, like, well, is this going to be a 3 minute? But is it haunted? No, it isn't. Or, and this is what I got into earlier, should I be teaching people about this lore? And I took a little blurb in Dennis William Hawk's book about how a house appeared once, and some details of that were mashed together and just wrong, which is something I never expected when I was 16, not now in my 40s. But I researched it. I found an article. I found articles about the people involved. It's a compelling story that I'm actually really proud of. It's on my channel. It's called There Was a House Here. It's gone now. Pam, if you're looking for it. That's an ode to Silent Hill 2, by the way, the video game. But there's so many connecting features in that story, so much synchronicity that I fell in love with it. And it took days to put together this 30-minute episode on a town where, mind you, I went there and nothing happened and there's nothing there. There's a single Dollar General, a place to get gas, and this little open air town and nothing. And I had the most fun I'd had in a while at that point.
Wow.
So if you're into this stuff, it's always there for you. You just need to know where to look. And I want to do more, hey, according to these people, this stuff happened. Isn't that cool kind of stuff?
Yeah, yeah. I like that content on your site. Like I said, the thing I can say about your YouTube channel is that it is very unique. It's very entertaining and it's very informative all at once. Like when I go on there, when I get tired of being bogged down with a lot of the day-to-day paranormal stuff. And you guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, after a while, a lot of our channels all start sounding alike, mine included, some days. So sometimes it's good to break away from that. And when I want to vacay from that sort of thing, you're one of the destination spooky, that I go to
Thank you, Daniel.
just chill and like relax and learn something new, because you do point out things and places that not just everybody is doing and saying about. So it's, if you're looking for a bucket list of things that are just kind of unexpected, and especially if you're looking for a bucket list of things you may not even know about that's right around you within driving distance, this is one of the places to go to, definitely. Um, as we're getting ready to close out the night, one of the things I always ask people is, what is something that you would like to leave us with tonight? What do you got for closing words?
Closing words. I think these are going to be good. It's a personal mantra of mine. Traveler, uh, whatever you decide to do, whatever you like, I hope you enjoy it and I hope you get the most out of it. Just don't hurt anyone else. That's it.
100%.
I think that's a good way to be.
It is very good. It's very good. I love the way that you uh, kind of approach everybody as traveler. I love that. All right. I am going to close this out. I will be back with you in just a moment.
Okay. By the way, I gave
Hmm?
Tom this amazing quote once when I did an interview with him. I completely forgot what it was.
Oh no.
But he has sort of the same thing. I gave something incredible. I have no idea what I told him. I was talking off the top of my head. So, Tom, wherever that was, I hope it was good enough. Thank you again, Pamela. And again, August 9th, I'll be at the Deep South Paracomic Con down in Ozark, Alabama. Come check me out.
Definitely so. Definitely. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Victor, for showing tonight and to hanging out with us here at Magical Journey Podcast. I also want to kind of give an extra shout out to Sean's.com there. I had to look there for a second. I'm getting tired and old these days. So my glasses need to be changed too. Do not forget, first of all, next week, I've got Katie Page coming, and she is going to be talking to us about her experiences on the ranch she grew up on, and maybe we can get her to talk a little bit about Skinwalker Ranch. If you did not see the episode of Trey Hudson a couple of weeks back talking about the Meadow project, that is very similar in a lot of ways to Skinwalker, so go back and check that out. I'll also have links coming up soon to books and so forth that I will be recommending and pointing out, dealing with podcast episodes that we have recently had. I don't know what I just heard outside, but that was weird. Anyway, do not forget also to check out, before my show next week, the Eye of Jupiter podcast. Tom, you always have amazing guests on, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your show incredibly. We all love Victor. Let me tell you, this has been a show that I've been waiting to do for a while, to have him on. So we appreciate definitely tonight. And as always, guys, may your journey always be magical.
I've waited for so long to see when you come back to me. Through the wars and battles that were lost, we're born again, it's you and me. The rest is history. Past lives. Past lives. Did we dance together on different floors in 1500 or 1504? We must have been lovers, we must have been something in our past lives.